Live streaming has been around for a little over 30 years, but it wasn't until it integrated into social media that the game changed. Along with the good also came the bad, and today we're going to look at 5 instances where going live ended bad. Family and friends would have never guessed that this would be their last day with J.W. Ransom as they dared him to swim across the pond and back for a down payment on a new car. Ransom could be seen hesitating throughout the video while his family and friends taunt him, but after 12 minutes, he finally jumps in and begins his way across the lake. He seems to be getting along just fine until we hear someone warn him that there would be a drop-off coming soon. Obviously, Ransom couldn't hear as he continued across the lake, and a few seconds later, he could be seen struggling, then heard calling out for help. The camera drops as everyone rushes to save him, but unfortunately, they wouldn't be able to make it in time. His body was found just a little while later. Ransom was only 19 at the time and getting ready to graduate high school. He also had a baby girl who was 7 months. Family later revealed that they were told that there was a 30-foot drop-off, and his mother said Ransom was already tired, which resulted in this tragic accident. Many across the internet had differing opinions, as many questioned why he would get in the water and why they would dare him to get in the water knowing he couldn't swim. We can even hear someone warning him not to do it, but despite the warning, he took the dare. As much as this situation could have been avoided, it was still a tragic accident, and let's hope his family is doing well, but let this also be a warning to know your limits and what you're capable of. Our next story brings us to Khadijah Brown, who shot her husband Jerry Brown while on live. This story went viral, so I'm pretty sure many of you are familiar with it, but Brown and her husband were having an argument as he walked around gathering his things to leave. Khadijah's mother could be heard in the background, appearing to take Khadijah's side as she tells him he needs to help more with the kids. Jerry repeatedly asks Brown to leave him alone, yet she follows behind him, continuing the argument. We can even hear him repeatedly tell her to stop touching him, but she doesn't let up. Eventually, they get into a physical altercation, then the screen goes black. A few moments later, we hear a single gunshot and the screams of Khadijah and her mother, then that of Jerry and his kids. Brown was arrested and charged with murder, and according to the local police, they had a history of domestic violence. She was given a $750,000 bail, but from my understanding, she hasn't made bail yet. 10% of $750,000 is $75,000 if she uses a bail bondsman, and that's still a lot of money to have to suddenly come up with. Do I think she intentionally shot him? No, if I'm being honest, but do I think she deserves to be charged? Of course, because she was definitely instigating this whole thing. Now, I did see many people coming for the mom, and I have to honestly say I can't blame her. They obviously fight whether she's there or not, and it seems like she's in the background cooking or cleaning, so I can assume she helps out with the kids because she says it, and that seems to be the theme of the argument. Dealing with toxic couples is like a task in its own, so I do hope moving forward that people learn to walk away before things get this far. I'd rather someone's feelings be hurt than for someone to lose their life. I just hope that all parties, especially the children, find the peace that they deserve because this was a very unnecessary tragedy that left babies without their parents. Now, this story has to be one of the craziest stories I've ever seen online. Ezekiel Kelly, who was only 19, went on a shooting spree in the Memphis area, leaving 4 people dead and 3 injured. Kelly can be seen bragging in the video about going to kill people, and sure enough, he pulls up to what appears to be an auto parts store and shoots the man before taking off. The footage cuts and comes back to him walking through a house of dead bodies without a care in the world. Kelly shut down Memphis that day as he went on an hours-long rampage, according to different news articles. An alert was sent out to residents to seek shelter and stay in place. The city also had to suspend bus and trolley services, amongst other things, in fear of everyone's safety. It was said that Kelly had just got home from serving an 11-month sentence. He was arrested for attempted murder, reckless endangerment, and use of a firearm with intent to commit a felony, but he took a plea deal for a lesser charge of aggravated assault. Kelly led police on a high-speed chase before they caught him. He was arrested and charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and is currently facing an additional 25 charges, bringing the total to 28. The Shelby County DA, Steve Mulroy, is seeking the death penalty in this case. He said 4 factors that played into his decision in seeking the death penalty was the fact that Kelly had previously been convicted of aggravated assault. He also felt like Kelly committed mass murder during his killing spree. He believes the murders were committed as an act of terrorism, and he didn't like the randomness of the shooting. Just City, a nonprofit organization that is pushing for reform in the justice system, does not support the DA's decision to seek the death penalty. The organization is urging the DA to consider other forms of punishment, as Tennessee has a record of botched executions. For me, this is one of them cases where I'm stuck in the middle. On one hand, we have a man that woke up and literally decided he was going to kill people that day. He literally laughed and bragged about doing it. But on the other hand, how am I any better than him if I'm pushing death on him? Either way, I hope all the families affected by his action has a say-so in his punishment, because that was their family members that he murdered, and I'm not sure I would be so forgiving if it was mine. Now, these next two stories I couldn't find too much information or backstory on, but I felt they deserved to make the cut. Our next story is about two nurses who was caught brawling on live. What already seemed like a pretty intense situation got even more intense when one of the nurses randomly punched the other one. The fight seems to have stemmed from someone not being able to get a job due to their record and feeling like someone else was trying to be funny about the situation. Either way, things went from 0 to 100 very quick. Now, as someone who has had a record and also had a CNA certification, I can tell you personally, unless you know the head honcho, the top person in charge, you are not getting in. And it's not always the facility in themselves that make the decisions. Outside factors like insurance play a role as well. Many companies' insurance in the medical field won't cover people with felonies or misdemeanors that's considered dangerous, like larceny or assault. So unless the lady said or did something off camera, I don't think being funny really qualifies anyone to hit anyone. Not only does she not get the job, but her friend or family member is about to lose their job and possibly their certification for something that was out of everyone's control in the first place. In this case, it was not worth it. So this next story we're going to call Who is Marshawn? Because one thing we know, Marshawn shot that car up. Now, I tried to find more on this situation and didn't find anything, but I was surprised to see how many situations like this actually happen. I don't know who this man is or why this young woman would even be acting this way with the baby in the car, but please leave that man alone. I agree with the mama on this one. Her life is precious, that baby's life is precious, and death is such a permanent result. So please stay away from people who threaten your life or would even joke about doing something to this nature. I hope whoever Marshawn is got arrested, because this could have ended very different. This was 5 instances where going live ended badly. If you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I thank you all for watching.